All right. I lost my volume on the last one halfway through what I was doing, so we're going to start over. I don't know if it gets any more exciting than that, because there's nothing I love doing more than starting over. So, this is a table that you can go to if you look up the Murder Hobo Show on Steam under the Tabletop Simulator Workshop. Link will be in the description. You can have access to this table. This table has everything that you see here. It is uploaded to the workshop exactly like it looks right now. And this is just going to be a quick video on what I've got going on inside of Tabletop Simulator. So, if you're familiar with ICRPG, you should be familiar with Flight of the Red Sword. So I've built this little map here called Red Sword Prime. It takes you into parenting view. One thing to note is that you don't want this hub, this mod that's down here that says Red Sword. You can't see my mouse. I'm sure there's a fix for it, but you don't want this little tablet, so to speak, thing here. You want to put it down, clear, and you want to pick it up and just drag it and hide it down here. Your players, being my color is black up in the top corner, so if I go change color to, let's say, orange, I can't see what's in there. It's a hidden area that's designed for the DM to put his stuff in there. So when you pop into game, you want to go black to become the game master. You can see now I can see everything. So when I'm playing, I would keep it down here. But when I'm building stuff inside of TTS, I always move it up to the table. Because of coordinates and stuff like that, it'll help you drop your links where you want to drop your links, just if you ever start building stuff inside it. So we're going to come down here, we're going to hit this lock button, and then we're going to click on this little earth thing up in the top corner. Right side of the one is next, left side of the one is back. This map looks identical to the tabletop surface because that's what is being portrayed right now. So you've got your warp shell. If I click on warp shell, you see this changes to the planet, and then here's the planet map. So you can change these maps, they're interchangeable, you can move them around. This link will take you back to the ICRPG core page, which then will load up this page. What you don't see on that is the links: Warp Shell, Flight of the Red Sword, Alfheim, and the new Ghost Mountain. There's Warp Shell characters in the Warp Shell. Anything Warp Shell is in that section. Anything Alfheim is in the Alfheim section. And this table here, you can see that the build has popped up. On this one here is where you're going to find all the core component stuff that I've built into the game. We'll just take a quick second to load this up so you can have a look and see that everything that you need is already here. These are a bunch of tokens for named things for the adventures that are inside the ICRPG core book. You've got your character sheets over here, some target counters that your players can keep track of, 2 different character sheets actually. Here's a little one-sided figure. I made a video for this on how to change that to your own custom tokens. And then here's some shabby loot cards, some basic loot cards, hero deck images. All of this stuff is available on the whatchamacallit. Here's target counters. This down here, I know I'm kind of zooming around. Hopefully nobody gets nauseous. If you click on the 9, it'll put the 9 in the table right in the corner there. So your players always know what the target number is going to be. You can just set it, click it to turn it off, go to the next one. It's an easy way to set the target number and have it up and available is through this little array of kickers down here. Or if you don't want to use the kickers that come with the table, you can just copy these and then resize them. All right, so let's get off of this and on to Flight of the Red Sword. We're going to hit clear, and we're going to go to Flight of the Red Sword. This is a super cool feature about OneWorld that's put in one of the last patches not too long ago called Parent View. These are all of the images for Flight of the Red Sword. I've taken all the images and I've combined them into one image, 1600 by 945. I've imported it in, and then what I've done is the individual images, let's say for example, Flight of the Red Sword, you start at the docking bay. So here is the individual image for the docking bay, and I'm going to hit the build button, and you'll see that it's starting to load things in the background. It takes like a hot minute and you're good to go. Now we have creepy noises. We have the shuttle area where the players will dock their ships. Pro tip, if you have, like I do, here it is here. the Death Star. If you click on these 3 dots and go to expand, the Death Star is the only thing that's on that table in that mod for that workshop. So you click on it, close this down, there's our Death Star. It shows up locked in position. So we're going to put this here in the docking bay. We're going to right click and we're going to call this Warp Shell. Bada bing, bada boom. That's where your characters show up. Go through the docking bay, and there is one other mod right here called Flip Me. You'll notice on the table there's squares. If you click on the Flip Me, they go off small, and then they just get bigger in size until they go off again. If you flip it over, you've got hex. So if you want to do a hex instead of a square, it's just a matter of flipping it over. It's very cool, and it casts a shadow down. You'll see that the squares change on top of the walls. Normally, TTS's table doesn't do that. It just shows the grids on the basic map. So let's get rid of the old warp shell, and this is the starter map complete with eerie sounds in the docking bay. So from the docking bay, they're going to pop out into the middle corridor. We're going to double click the middle corridor button over here. You can see the little red thing popped up. And then we're going to hit the build button, which is right up here where the other red thing popped up. Here we go. One of the cool things that I love about ICRPG is the way that Hankerin builds his maps to sort of create tactical situations for your players to get involved in. You can see this little arrow that points down here where I'm going to put this 2-sided figurine at. See the little arrow? This is where your players are going to come in from. So as they approach into the middle of the room, again, they're moving depending on how big you want it. You just click the Flip Me. It'll stay with every map. You don't have to do it every time. So a banana length. I'm going to usually just use 6 squares. You can move to there, take a peek around, that kind of a thing. But let's say we've got hidden bad guy Jimmy Smoke hiding behind here. Maybe he's really I don't know what happened. I lost my audio there. Anyways, main corridor. Something happened. I lost my audio. She's not cooperating today. Let's move up to the corridor front. Hit the build button. Watch her build the front corridor. And then there you go. Creepy music. Cool little tactical wall in the center. Computer area for accessing, the ships. Maybe deem a little bit of information. And that's the front corridor. Let's build the bridge. Now, here's your players. Your players, as soon as it loads up, old hot water tank, he's going in. And Jimmy Smoke, his buddy, is coming in right behind him. But what's this? Reptoid mutants on the bridge. Oh. And then check it out. You can have some guys hidden behind here. There's a little fire and some smoke going on. You got your 3D chairs to help with your environment for dudes to hide behind stuff. Maybe this guy gets a bit of cover because he's behind here. Maybe you want to move him over here so he's completely hidden behind the wall. There's a full-on 3D-ized replica of the bridge. In case they need to come up here and take control of the ship for whatever reason. Well, let's go back to the... You notice how stuff stays on the... Where you drop it on the whatchamacallit. On the maps. You got to make sure that you take them off. Here's the rear corridor. Again, toss some creepy critters in here for your players to shoot at. Nice combat tactical map with the hidden little hallways and corners and things for people to hide behind. I'm not quite sure if those should be that high, but I like them that high so that they get full cover. It makes for a little bit more tactical gameplay. So, the next one is the medical module. We're going to hit the build button. Oh, we don't want the click roller. We want the build button. Here's the medical bay. 3D-ized stuff. You have your choice of a clear base, Reptoid Gargantuan, or one that looks more like a token. These guys right now are locked in place, and the sign, the little note that I left says use the joint tool on your choice of Reptoid Gargantuan before you unlock both pieces and move them. The reason is because, I'll show you on the front one, if you unlock the Reptoid, he kind of goes flying off. And here's the base. So they just do stupid stuff. And the reason is because this base is just a base with a clear model on it. You can see how it has a height to it in squareness. So the game recognizes that this is not just a flat piece that you're sitting something on top of. Delete. Unlock the two-sided base. Let's delete this guy. So in order to get to the joint tool, you want to hit the F7 button. You're going to come over here and you're going to choose the Reptoid Gargantuan. You can see he's highlighted in white. Click him down to this one. Go back to the tail and hit L and then L in the base. And now you have a movable Reptoid Gargantuan. And just choose which one you want. Simply do that as if you're going to DM this and get rid of this. Now you have your bad boy Reptoid Gargantuan guy. Your little green glowing computer desks, your tables, your med bay tables and stuff. And that's the med bay. Clear and science bay build. All right, here's the science bay. Walking in the science bay doors, taking a peek around, seeing what's going on. Surprise your characters with some stuff. Completely 3Dized map of the med bay on Flight of the Red Sword. And then last but not least, we got the engine rooms. Let's build the engine rooms. You can see how fast stuff kicks in. You know, it doesn't take long to build a cool map at all. Or, sorry, to have it load up in game. You're not really waiting for an extended period of time. Yeah, so there you go. That's her. Bananas, very cool. Hot water tank, he's going to show up, start walking inside. Who knows what's going to happen to hot water tank when he enters the engine room. But, yeah, the engine room is very 3D eyes. Let's turn off the grid. Give you a little rotate action as we spin around. And that's her. Now the cool part about One World, this mod down here, and parent view. If we turn parent view off, you would have to create links. You see the map? The map now matches. That's clear. So you can see that the map on this One World matches the map that's on the table. You can also go through different areas. Here's the science bay. What you would normally do is just have links, so that you would pop this menu out, click link. There's a link to the science bay. So the science bay connects through the rear corridor. So we're going to hit build. And on this rear corridor map, the science bay would be over here. So what we're going to do is, this is how you would normally get around. You would have to create links. Oh, wait a second. I think this map might go, yeah, something like that. So we'll click on this link. Now we're in the science bay. And then from the science bay, you would have another link here that would take you out to the rear corridor. And it just becomes sort of a more difficult way. Let's click on this, unlink it, delete it. So what you do instead is you now have one map for things like this. And then it takes you into parent view. And instead of having a link to go from the medical bay to the rear corridor, then from the rear corridor to the science bay, it's just one click. If your characters were at the back in the engine room where the red dot is, in order for them to get to the front to the bridge, you would have to click from the engine bay to the rear corridor, from the rear corridor to the middle corridor to the front corridor to the bridge. It's a lot of clicking. With parent view and one map, you have just links, and I can immediately go from the bridge and hit my build button all the way back to, if I wanted to go to the engine rooms and hit the build button, one click, and I go from room to room to room. That's the whole point of parent view. Anyways, that's my little Flight of the Red Sword 3DI tutorial if anybody plays Tabletop Simulator. It's freaking fantastic. Very cool. Lots of stuff for you to do in-game. No mechanics to learn. No farting around. It's all pretty much just straightforward. This one world mod is a freaking game changer for Tabletop Simulator. It's super cool.